Hello everyone, and welcome to a very special Christmas video. I don't know about you, but I'm an absolute sucker for when my favorite TV show does a Christmas special, and I wanted to do one myself. If you take a look in the background behind me, you might notice that things are looking very Christmassy, or at least they're red, which is traditionally a very Christmassy color. I guess I could also make the sign green if I wanted to too, which is also a Christmas color. Today, I am going to be showing you how you can make your very own light up sign. We're gonna be playing with epoxy, we're gonna be playing with LED lights, and we're gonna be spreading some Christmas cheer, or holiday cheer. Or can we all just agree that at this point, Christmas is no longer a religious holiday and it's strictly just an excuse to do something nice for other people? Okay, good, because we are on a bit of a time crunch in this one. So let's head to the shop and I'll explain the rest of the situation over there.
Sleigh bells ringing, diamonds blinging, carols singing, favorite season. Sleigh bells ringing, diamonds blinging, carols singing, favorite season. They said say Nick, but you got a bit that bag.
You know what we have here? We have ourselves a good old-fashioned race against the clock. Let me take off my jacket, get settled in, and I'll explain. As it stands right now, it's December 9th, so that gives us 16 days till Christmas, which is when I would like to have this project done and the YouTube video edited and uploaded online. Now, you might be asking yourself why I'm choosing Christmas as an artificial deadline for this project, and that's because I left out a little detail in the intro. I'm not just making one of these signs, I'm making three. Two of them are gifts for other people. Obviously, one of them is gonna be for me in my office, but then I also wanna make one for my dad with our construction company logo on it. I think he'll like that. And then the other one I wanna make for my buddy Mark, because last year Mark got me a Mirka sander for Christmas, and I got him nothing. So I need to make up for that this year. And Mark is just one of the most generous and kind people I know, so I want to do something nice for him. Now, 16 days to get a project like this done doesn't sound that bad at first, but keep in mind that one of the steps of this build is going to take 3 days to dry. And then also I'm going to have to edit the video, which that generally takes a lot of time. And then also I have just like my regular full-time job. So we're going to be tight on the schedule here. And I have to like get it to Mark before Christmas. So yeah, it's gonna be fun. Of course, like the idiot I am, I picked undressed wood for a build that was under a time constraint. Thankfully though, I did have some new tools to help speed up the milling process. You know what? It's actually been a little while since I've done any milling on this channel, and I've done some updates to my milling station, so let me just run you guys through those real quick. This is the Craftex joiner that I've been using for a little while. I think this has actually worked its way into a couple of videos. Not exactly the most sturdy jointer, but for the money, this thing actually performs really well, and it's 8 inches wide, so for cutting 2-foot pieces like this thing is perfect. And then this is my most latest edition. This is DeWalt's DW735, and I've been sitting on this thing for like a month now, and I haven't actually really had a chance to use it, so I'm pretty excited to put it through its paces. Before I could do that though, I had to flatten 2 faces on each piece using the jointer. Only then was I ready to put the planer to the test by flattening a 3rd face on each board. And oh my god, that is a good planer. The amount of material it was able to remove in a single pass was unreal. That thing might have just saved Christmas given how much time it saved. Status update, it's a few hours later. We got all of the wood milled and ready to be glued up into panels. So if we can get all this done, I will be feeling pretty confident about our deadline. Of course, there's only so much you can do to rush a glue up. In total, I needed 6 panels for 3 signs, because each sign is made up of 2 pieces. So I had quite a bit of gluing to do, and I needed to give the glue time to properly cure before I could move on. Oh, and while we're on the subject of waiting for glue to dry, quick tip, it's almost always easier to clean up excess glue while it's still wet. You can just wipe it off with a damp rag. You know what? I was mistaken earlier when I said all I had to do was glue these together. I also have to sand them flat on the drum sander so that they're ready to be carved. This step added an extra hour or so onto my day, which I wasn't thrilled about, but hopefully it should save me some time later on down the road. It's a lot easier to CNC something that's flat and a uniform thickness. Now we're done for the day. Or, well, we're done in the shop for the day. I'm gonna head home and start editing this footage so I can keep ahead of things and try and hit this deadline. It is now day 2. As you can see, we have some fresh snow on the ground outside. And today we are going to be doing a lot of carving. So if you saw my last video, you know that I just got the brand new X-Carve from Inventables. And that is going to be playing a big role in what we're doing today. This is easel, which is Inventables CNC control software that you get with the X-Carve. I've spent the last 15 minutes or so mapping out the first carve, which is just gonna be the circular cut and then my logo in the middle. And this logo in the middle is a little bit risky because some of these details are really fine, but I have faith in the X-Carve. We're gonna do mine first because if it screws up, well, then Christmas isn't ruined. But if the one for my dad or Mark gets screwed up, then yeah, Christmas will be ruined.
With no time to waste, I got right into the CNC. These carves can take a while, and I had a lot of them to do. Thankfully, despite my concern, this particular carve went off without a hitch, even with all that fine lettering. Some might even say that that's a Christmas miracle, but it's probably just good engineering.
This is an exciting moment. It's done. Check it out. I think that looks really cool. Let's get it out of the clamps and see how it looks. It's so fragile. Oh, that piece is about to come off. Oh, so many parts of this are just about to fall off. That little piece shaking in there. Man, this looks so good. Our next cut is going to be very similar to the first one. It's just gonna be a round circle, but this one has no detail in it whatsoever. I guess looking at this, I probably could have cut this using another method, but when you have a brand new toy, you just want to play with a new toy, so that's what I'm gonna do.
Unfortunately, this second carve was not nearly as successful as my first one was.
Ugh, okay, well, that didn't go the way I wanted it to. One of my clamps failed and the whole piece came loose during the carve, so I had to stop it, reset, and do it again. And now as a result, I have a far from perfect circle here. But this is why you do the one for yourself as a practice run. I think I can still save this with a little bit of jigsaw and sanding, so I'm not too worried about it. And hopefully I learned some lessons for when I do the actual mission critical pieces for the gifts. Before we actually start carving, we had to edit our cut map. So I'm going to remove my logo here, and I'm going to insert the one for my dad and I's construction company.
I've got to give a quick shout out to the engineering elves over at Easel because they made it so easy to turn an image file into a cut map. I was basically just dragging and dropping JPEGs. And speaking of Easel, this is probably a good time to point out that I'll be making all the project files for this build available on Easel. So if anybody wants to repeat this build at home, all you have to do is erase my logo and drag and drop yours in its place. Though by the time this video goes live, it might be a little bit late to do one as a Christmas gift.
Thank God that one went a lot better than the first one. Now it's time to do Mark's. Okay, a couple little tweaks here, a couple little tweaks over there, and we now have Mark's logo ready to be carved. And you know what the really nice thing about having busy friends is? It's really easy to surprise them with things because they're just so busy, they're preoccupied. I sent him a text message and asked for an image copy of his logo. He sent it back to me like 15 minutes later. No chit chat, no follow-up questions whatsoever, just the information I was looking for.
Thankfully, Mark's logo is nice and simple, so this was a fast carve, which is good because I have been carving for like 3 hours at this point, all while nervously looking at the clock and worrying about my deadline.
Let's get this out of here. Oh, nothing broke, everything's still good. Everything is still good. That actually kind of helped me in a weird way.
While the X-Carve handled the last two circle pieces, I was over on the assembly table getting a jump start on the sanding. And when I say sanding, I really just mean that in the loosest sense of the term. At this point, I didn't have time for precision polishing. I was just trying to smooth over any rough edges left by the carve.
So it's almost the end of day 2 now, but before I go, I have one last little thing that I want to do. I'm going to brush a finish onto all of the inside areas that I cut with a CNC. And I'm not actually doing this to, finish it. What I'm really trying to do is seal the wood. Because we're going to cast epoxy into all these areas, I found in the past, when you're casting epoxy into open grain wood like walnut, it has a tendency to get absorbed into the wood and then bleed out around the edges.
True, this step definitely added some time to my build, but my hope was that this finish would seal any open grain and prevent the wood from wicking up any epoxy. So this step should theoretically make my finish signs a lot nicer.
It's day 3 in the shop, and today we are going to be doing some epoxy. This is my little epoxy stash down here. We are going to be working with flow cast epoxy, which is my favorite epoxy to use because it's really user friendly. This stuff cures over the course of 72 hours, which gives it tons of time to release both heat and air bubbles. So you can cast it deep and you don't have to worry about popping all the individual bubbles. Originally, I was thinking that I was gonna have to build an individual form for each sign, but then I realized, hey, why don't I just clamp the signs to a piece of melamine and then I can cast right into the sign and use that as a form. Oh, and another thing I'm gonna do is just wipe a little bit of this Sonite wax onto the melamine. Sonite wax is a release wax that helps the epoxy not stick to the melamine nearly as much.
Or at least that's how it's worked in the past, but on this build, I think it might have actually cost me some time. More on that later though. In order to make sure that no epoxy leaked out from the gap between the signs and the melamine, I applied a thin bead of latex caulking and then squished them together. I went for latex because it dries quickly and it's non-adhesive. And then, because epoxy has a tendency to shrink a bit when it cures, I added another bead of latex caulking to each sign. That way I could overfill each sign to compensate.
So I think I have to start with my sign first because again, if anything goes wrong, I would rather it happen to that one. I'm gonna start by using a very scientific knife blade amount here.
Mixing epoxy colors is a bit of an art since a little bit of pigment goes a long way. But I was in a rush and I wanted all 3 of my signs to be different colors, so I was basically just eyeballing it and playing it by ear. For mine, I was shooting for a transparent gold color, so I only used a small pinch of pigment. Then it was time to do my dad's. I wanted his to be gold as well, but I wanted it to be more opaque and solid feeling, so I added about 3 times as much pigment. Truth be told, I think his ended up looking better than mine, but hey, that's why I did my own as a practice run.
All right, we're going to have to bring out the big guns for Mark's pour. So the keen-eyed among you may have noticed in the last couple pours that the hardener I was using, this guy here, was actually quite amber colored. That's because the seal on this container is probably shot. So a little bit of air got in there and oxidized it. It doesn't actually affect the strength of the epoxy, but it does give it that amber hue. For those pours, I didn't really care because that actually got me closer to the color I wanted. But for Mark's pour, we're going white, so we're gonna have to crack open a fresh container and use a little bit of fresh hardener.
For Mark's sign, I bought a pearl white liquid pigment. Now, I've never used a liquid pigment before, so I decided to take it slow and start with just a single drop. And then I went to 2 drops. And then I went to 6 drops. And then in the end, I was basically just free pouring the stuff until I got the look that I wanted. For something that comes in such a small eyedropper, it wasn't very potent.
Here we go, last pour of the day.
To keep my freshly poured signs safe from falling dust and prying eyes, I covered them with garbage bags while they cured. I know it sounds crazy, but keep in mind that I share a shop with my dad and I didn't want him to inadvertently ruin the Christmas surprise. There's a method to my madness.
Okay, I think that's all I can do for the next 72 hours or so. Started day 4, and that means that our epoxy is now set. Also, while the epoxy was setting, I had time to get a haircut, but it's still growing in a little bit, so looks a little weird when I'm wearing the hat. Anyways, let's see how these did. Unfortunately, we do have a little bit of spillage on 2 out of our 3 signs. Looks like the levees on my little caulking dams broke. But other than that, they look great. So honestly, if that's the only thing that's wrong with them, I'm fine with that. Just means a little bit extra cleanup. Now let me get you guys in real close so you can see why I like to overfill my epoxy molds. I think this sign's probably the clearest example of it. You can see that even though I overfilled these, now after the epoxy's cured, some of this epoxy is actually sitting below the level of the wood, especially here in the lettering. Doesn't really bother me because I know my drum sander will make very short work of little discrepancies like that, but definitely something to keep in mind if you're doing an epoxy project at home. Theoretically, it should be pretty easy to separate these now. If I just give it a little pull, maybe. No, what about a little, how about a good old-fashioned chisel and hammer? I honestly didn't think it'd be this hard to get them out. I thought they'd pop right off. There she goes. My precious sonite wax didn't work that well. I wonder why.
Annoyingly, this was a huge time suck. I even had to cut this one up into smaller pieces just to get it separated. Honestly, I have no idea what happened here. I've used sonite wax in the past with great results, but this cost me hours that I really didn't have.
There we go. That was more work than it should have been.
Eventually though, I did get them all separated, and then I ran each sign through the drum sander to sand off the excess epoxy and flatten them out. Then it was time to do the real finish sanding. I started by wetting each board to pop the grain, and then sanded all the wood to 220 grit. One thing that I forgot to account for is just how much you have to sand epoxy in order to get it to look nice. To give these logos a little extra sparkle, I wet sanded each one up to 1000 grit by hand. Finally, I had one last thing to do for the night. I had to join both pieces of each sign. The process was pretty straightforward. Apply a ring of wood glue, make sure that the opening was facing down and that the rings were centered, and then apply some clamping force. Oh yeah, and don't forget to wipe off the excess wood glue.
All right, that's a wrap on another day here in the shop, and I think we're in pretty good shape, knock on wood. One more day in here and we should be done, and then we get to deliver the lights. But first, let's worry about finishing them. It is day 5 in the shop, and today is all about finishing, and also finishing, because hopefully we will finish these today. By which I mean, like, we're gonna complete them, but we're also gonna apply a clear coating to them.
This particular clear coating was a water-based polyurethane, so importantly, it dried quickly. On the backside, I brushed it into all the hard-to-reach spots, and then the rest was all roller work.
These are now dry, and look at how good they look. I love that freshly finished dark walnut look so much. All right, let's go install some LEDs. These are Philips Hue LED strip lights, and they're actually the same ones that I used in my DIY corner lamp video, which you can check out in the top right-hand corner of the screen right now. And what I learned in that video is that these are slightly overpriced, but they are also very high quality LEDs, which is surprisingly hard to find when you're shopping online. So we're gonna install one of these strips into each side.
Thankfully, I pre-planned this bit pretty well, which is rare for me. I calculated the diameter of these signs so that the circumference perfectly matched the length of these LED strips. That way, I didn't have to fuss with cutting them, and it was just a simple peel and stick job. The nice thing about using off-the-shelf smart lights like this is that they've got all sorts of functionality built right into them. I can schedule them, change their color with my phone, etc, etc. No need to integrate a switch or any other time-consuming steps.
These are looking really good, but there's one little thing, actually 2 little things that I want to do before we take them home.
The first of which was just applying a little bit of CA glue to reinforce the double-sided tape that the lights came with, because I've never met a double-sided tape that didn't start to let go after like a month or 2.
All right, that should hold a little bit better. Now, let's talk about how we're gonna mount them. Because these signs aren't particularly heavy, we don't really need anything fancy in order to mount them. So I just got some little keyhole brackets, and we're gonna mount them right about, yeah, there.
A little bit of countersinking, a little bit of chiseling, and we had our keyhole brackets set and ready to go.
That is 3 finished signs. We're gonna take mine home, and then we're gonna go play Santa Claus. So the situation is evolving quickly. You'll see that I haven't even had a chance to mount my own sign just yet, but I just got a text from Mark, and he asked me if I could come to his place and help him with some work at his place. So I think this is the perfect opportunity to drop off the sign to him, but I gotta wrap it up, and then we gotta boogie because it's already 9:30, and I told him I'd be there at 10. Yep. Something like that. I mean, look, when Mark gave me that Mirka sander, it was wrapped in a trash bag, so I think I'm doing okay despite my crappy wrapping job here. You know what? When you look at it from the front, it doesn't look too bad. All right, let's go drop this thing off.
Sleigh bells ringing, diamonds blinging, carols singing, favorite season. Sleigh bells ringing, diamonds blinging, carols singing, favorite season.
All right, we finally made it despite this crazy weather outside. It's even snowier here in Bowmanville than it was in downtown Toronto, but we're here in one piece, so let's go give Mark his gift. What's up, buddy? You're on camera. Look, I got a present for you.
Oh my gosh. Well, it feels like Christmas.
Yeah, I know, right? It's nice and snowy.
Man. Thanks so much.
Don't mind the wrapping. It's not, I didn't do a very good job. I kind of ran out of wrapping paper there.
Okay,
but you got to open it on camera because I gotta get this vlog up before Christmas.
Okay, come on in.
Mark, I brought you down here into the basement to give you this gift because this gift is meant to go down here. Tell the people at home what you've been doing down in the basement because you've been working on it for like the last 6 months.
The goal was, we found out we were having a baby earlier on this year. The goal was to finish the basement before the baby came. I even brought you out. You helped me frame out some stuff. Got plans for like a studio, office space over there.
Okay, and this ties very nicely into that.
Okay, so then let's just open it up. The wrapping job is just pristine. It's almost as good as the garbage bag that I wrapped your present in last year. Bro, what the hell? Come on, dude. That's so sick. Pop this up over here.
Exactly.
Maybe put it up over here. Oh, dude, thank you, man. This looks awesome. I love the walnut.
Yeah, you're welcome, man.
Is this on the new CNC?
Yeah, on the new CNC.
Crazy, man.
You are very welcome.
Thank you, man. Thank you, thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Thanks, buddy. Merry Christmas.
All right, everybody, we're gonna go home, set up mine in my office, and then we're gonna do the outro to this video. See you back at my place. Now that we're back at home, the only thing left to do is to hang my sign properly. Obviously, there's still one loose end left to tie up. I still haven't given my dad his sign, but I'm planning to do that on Christmas Day, and I would really like it if this video came out before Christmas. Speaking of, it's the 20th now, and that doesn't leave me much time to edit this video, so I think I better wrap things up. I hope you all enjoyed my Christmas special, and I hope you all have a very Merry Christmas, or whatever it is you celebrate at this time of year. Or if you don't celebrate anything at all, that's cool too. You know what? It's all fine. I love you all, and I will see you in the next video, which will probably be sometime in 2022, so Happy New Year too. See ya. Oh, and P.S. everybody, if this video is a little rough around the edges, I didn't have long to make it, so I'm sorry.